We have 5 awesome questions to get through and about 7 teams, with one of those guys being in the private group. And I can't wait to go through all of these with you. There's plenty of big ones here around your center position, around ranking some of the wing fullback options, Walsh, Kravaz, Turbo there, captaincy options, talking about overall cash in your side and how much of that you should have, and, rather than going for points, the positives and negatives for both of them. And then some head-to-head questions as well. And then we'll go over those squads that we've got here. So we'll kick off with this first one. And they had a pretty bad round 2 there, sitting bad there at a 41,000 overall. So this is definitely a squad that we need to fix. So a disastrous start. We can definitely rebuild in this one. Started with Drinky, destroyed my wing fullbacks. That didn't work, obviously. Trade Smith to Tohu locked in. That's great. That obviously had a fair bit of cash remaining, which is good. Drinky to Walsh, 2k left in the bank. Drinky to Hammer Time. Drinky to Walsh, 250k in the bank left over. Is that if you don't go Smith to Tohu? I think just doing both of them, man. Smith to Tohu, Drinky to Walsh. Just go with the 2k in the bank. You get an upgrade with both of them, which is awesome. I think you just should lock that one in. Obviously, looking at next week, you're holding Cleary, which is great because Trindle likely to be gone next week. So that's a great way to go about that. Center position, you're looking at Talau in there, that position there. We're sort of struggling in this spot here. Obviously, Walsh would come in for that one there. Is that right? Where is Drinky in this team? That's the question mark we've got here. Anywho, I think those trades are going to be sweet, man. That's the best way to go about that one. All right, we'll move to that next team there. Okay, we have Renegade Payne in the Haas. Hey, Jamie, how good were the Broncos last week? Yeah, great against us. Yeah, that's right. You 48,000. Poor fella. Very, very tough one here. Looking at going Cheese to Nichols, unsure on a second trade. Yeah, Nichols is going to be okay. Obviously, hopefully he scores sort of mid-40s for you, makes good at cash. 446k to spend if I trade out Ford. Tempted to keep for slow burn. I think you need to keep 40 there. The only guy you should probably look to pop in your side, you do have Preston, for example. Really, there's not a lot down there. You got no money in the centers and the wing fullbacks. I think you should start to save up a bit of cash to be able to get someone good in the center and the wing fullback position. He's got his trades there left already. Cartwright in for Blore and Totola out for Miller. So pretty unlucky there with Totola. Really, you've made that one trade this week. In terms of the rest of the guys, you've got enough. You've got the 17 playing. I think maybe that one should be all you're doing there. And then Ford is one of those guys that you want to keep because he's still going to make some cash going forward. So let's move to that first question there. We've only have Harley Smith Shields and Alamotti as center with no center cover. Look, both of those guys are going to be okay, I think, in general, but should we bring in center cover or just run the gauntlet this week? Interesting sub 600k options include Suali'i, Stags, Kola, and Hammer. So I think we can rule out Stags. He's probably a little bit too expensive and just hasn't been performing. Kola, I'm pretty interested in. Obviously, all of these guys now, the 3 others, have the dual position, which is going to be good for the wing fullback and the center spot there. I think if you're looking at options for this week, it won't be Suali'i given he doesn't play next week. I think you can have a look at him again and potentially pick him up in 5. So it comes down to Kola and Hammer. I think Talatau there will probably be the most consistent out of the 2. Hammer's going to have that sort of 50 in him, and then probably a 20-25. I think Kola's going to be somewhere in the 30s range pretty regularly, and then have that 45 or 50 in him. So most people are going for Hammer at this point. He's 30k cheaper. He's a little bit more highly owned. So if you wanted a pod, then go Kola. If you're happy to go with the pack, he should have a good score this week and then may find it a little bit more difficult over the following weeks there. So that's that one. We move on to the next squad in here and we go through Nick's main team. I hope he doesn't have multiple squads. Come on, mate. Grant captain, best pick of the week, given what Little did to the Titans. Yeah, Grant could do the same thing. Yeah, definitely. I think that's pretty interesting. And Murray's going to come out swinging against the Roosters. So yeah, I don't think you worried too much about his 45 last week. I expect somewhere in the 60s again. Grant probably similar in that one there. Guys like Tohu Harris are pretty close to captaincy option as well. Obviously made a couple of trades this week. Drinky to Walsh, Cheese to Tohu. Good ideas. He obviously had a fair bit extra in the bank, and that's kind of the benefit of having that cash extra, guys, is you can go a couple of mid-ranges to another mid-range or keeper in that sort of center and wing fullback position. And then you could go up to a gun in another one. So I think Tohu is a great trading man. Those 2, if you can lock them in, that's awesome. Having the wing fullback set, Isaac Thompson and Alamotti in the center position is going to be solid for now. You've got Harley Smith Shields as the cover. Trindle and Cardi out in the coming weeks. Hope to get into Tola when he comes down. TPJ and Bird in the next 2 to 3 rounds. Yeah, Tavita Pangai I'd probably be avoiding, coming off an injury, and he's very hit and miss anyway. I'd probably let him play a few weeks before you look at him. But yeah, Bird to Tola I think are going to be solid. Boyd could potentially be traded out as well. I think he's going to be out in my side, which we'll find out in the trades video. But using Ford to loop, Dury / Bird. How good are you to only have one player out? So congrats with that one. You could loop those guys for sure, and that would be a great option. Well done, Nick's main team, coming 16,000th overall. Had a pretty poor round 2 as well, so hopefully you can have a better week in that one. Let's move to the next question there that we have. And this was a lot of information on this one here, so that's gonna be fun to decipher. Let's move to the second one. So rate, rank, and discuss the following wing fullback options: Walsh, Kiraz, and Turbo. Okay, that's a very, very tough one, isn't it? Because we've got, Kiraz is going to be that very up and down type of player, obviously being a winger, and a little bit more consistency from guys like Turbo and Walsh. If you're looking at price-wise, then obviously Walsh is just at the moment the least expensive, which is obviously a win when you're trying to use that extra cash elsewhere. And if you think all of them can score a similar amount, if you think that Walshy and Turbo and Kiraz can be like 45 to 50 type scorers, then Walsh is your number one. Kiraz, if you expect the Dogs to continue to do well, then he will have those big scores of 70s and 80s in his game. And then when they lose, it'll be like that 30 to 40 type of guy, which is great. That's kind of the base you've been looking for a long time from guys in that wing fullback position at the wing spot. So yeah, very, very interesting. In terms of rating them, I think it probably just goes in that order. Turbo can absolutely come out and kill it if he and the Manly boys continue to play super well. But he is fairly expensive in the 600s at the moment. So the other guys probably just first in that order. Furthermore, when do you think it might be a good time to pick up Teddy, if at all? I'd say around 5 or 6 would be great, man. He looked like he could have scored 1,000 on the weekend. It just didn't happen. The end of that, for Cleary owners that are holding through the Panthers round 3 bye period, what are you looking for in round 4 in order to determine whether or not we're going to punt him or not? That's a super good question, guys. Obviously, a healthy ankle would be ideal. And if he can do that and the Panthers begin to play a little bit more expansive footy against some slightly lesser sides, I think that him and his try assists, his attacking stats, the goal kicks and tries and the like there. He didn't have any tackle breaks on the weekend, for example. That can all come back into play, and he can be that 65-point scorer that he's now priced underneath that. So I think that's pretty solid to have. Obviously, after this round 3 bye, if you have other pressing issues, then you've got him through the bye now. He's priced down in the low 60s already. He's lost a fair bit of cash for us now. Then you hold him for that period and get him all the way to Origin. You can make a decision on there. So you're looking for in round 4. If he comes out and he doesn't look interested or they're playing really, really poor again, then maybe you can move him on. But I still think he's a hold. I can see a lot of people trading him out, but overall, I still think that keeping him in there, fixing up the rest of your team this week, and then you come into round 4 and you've got someone coming back like Cleary into your side. God, that's just got to feel good. And then if he comes out and goes 70 or 80, then you're ahead of a lot of other guys out there. Hey Jamie, love the content. Looking for some feedback after a pretty torrid 2 weeks. Obviously, Drinky needs to go. Fear the damage might be done already though. Since this round, I might be forced into moving probably Drinky and Talau. That makes sense. So you've got that position there, Alamoti, Talau in the centres with no cover. Okay, we need to have some plastic surgery in this one. Problem areas, no Haas, Carrigan, Eli Katoa, centre and wing fullback depth. Boyd, just Boyd. Yeah, not happy with Boydie. Halves depth, one Trindle isn't viable anymore. Where's the cash in this side? We've got Murray, Tarpany, and Grant. Dewey's in there. Cleary, obviously. Okay, and then the Drinky. So, yeah, definitely some interesting a few interesting ways to go about this one. So the ideas for round 3, we've got Drinky to Walsh, Perham, Chester, Talau to Isaac Thompson, or Boyd to Eli Katoa if Talau is playing. I'd be avoiding Isaac Thompson. And as you said, the problem areas are going to be around your centre and wing fullback depth. So I think going Drinky straight to maybe a Walsh could be the best play. If you wanted to conserve some cash, maybe someone like Perham, with you not having any cover and no real good centre at the moment, I think it would be too big of a risk to pick up Chester. If you're pretty strong in the centre and wing fullback, then Chester could be a good 3-week play if it means you're going up to a gun elsewhere. But I think probably for you, Walsh is going to be the correct trade here. It's going to leave you a decent amount in the bank. An extra You'll probably get to about 160, 170 in the bank, and then you could upgrade elsewhere, but completely up to you how you want to do that one. Guys that I'd be looking to eventually trade out in your squad would be guys like David Moale. Obviously, Trindle, if you get him to about a 370, 380, 390 next week, you could use him to get up into 500s. Egan Butcher could be a trade up next week if you had that 160 in the bank. That's definitely something to think about. But yeah, that's where I'd be looking at right now. 40, I'd be holding. Tanner Boyd, you can upgrade right now and get to sort of a 620 type of guy. All the guys I spoke about in that previous video yesterday. All right, round 5 and beyond, try to get a gun like Haas or Hines. Yeah, for sure, man. You got round 4, move Mwale or some cash cow whose money-making days are over for a centre. I've already done the Boyd to Katoa deal in round 3. Look, if you want to do the Katoa one, I just think it's a bit risky. He's already made a bit of cash. You're getting him probably all the way through to round 9. You're trading him there. So Boyd is not a clear sell as well. And he gives you that half cover that you were going to desperately need and the hooker cover that you no longer have. So he covers both those positions. When Trindle's out next week, if you've got Cleary straight in there, you'd have no cover across those 2 positions. So that would be the general way I'd be looking to go in that one there. Okay. Jeep's Hot Merchant. What a name there. His obviously overall rank is 15,000. But let's go to another question. How important is overall cash for the team? Currently sitting ranked 2415 with 1,643 total points, but only a team value of 10.1 mil. When I look at top teams, I have about 10.5 mil. So it should be a little bit strange. Just check if it's the total team value, or it's not including the extra cash you have in the bank, because that's the total team value. If you're at 10.1, that just really means you've captained correctly, and you've got a few guys that haven't performed well at all, that you're maybe not playing, or they've just been a negative in your side, but you've had so many other really good players that are scoring to their potential. You've got the correct bench each and every week. So things like captaincy, picking the correct bench, all play a massive role in these first few weeks of getting you way further up the ranks and total points than what actually it seems. So those things are so important, but it shows that week to week cash generation is going to be important in the long run. That extra 400,000 could get you from a mid-ranger to a gun pretty quickly there for sure. So let's go back to those teams. Hi Jamie, just want to get some feedback on the team. Been considering trading Cleary, really high break even, has scored poorly. Yeah, he had a 61 in the first game, wasn't that bad, guys? As he has the bye this week also. He got injured as well, and they haven't played very good. Currently you've done TMM to Walshy, Cleary to Tohu. Yeah, if you're doing that and you're happy with your half position, because look, you're going to have to upgrade halves next week, man. Trindle's not going to be there most likely, so are you going to be playing Tanner Boyd? Are you going to trade Trindle to another low scorer? Are you going to have to try and trade a gun to get a half? These are the things you need to think about before you make this decision. The rest of the side looks good. Obviously, Bird and Walsh down the bottom. The guns up top, Tohu, Grant, Murray now, Sutton, Butcher. You've got a lot of edges and good mids, for example. And that's something you need to think about there as well. So, yeah, probably considering keeping Cleary or either bringing in another half could be a good idea for this side. We've got a couple to go. Our fun one here with our actual written notes, which is great, but we'll move to round number 4. If I have 2 easy looking weeks coming up in head-to-head with my mates who don't really know much, should I save my trades or just play regardless of my fixture? In this, if you know you're going to win, just make sure you get the correct cash cows. So the Prestons, these types of guys, make sure you shore up your squad. If there's guys that you think are going to lose a fair bit of money, if you've got a Brandon Smith, if you've got these types of guys, make sure that they clearly out of your squad. Don't push for marginal cash cows. If you're not really sure on guys like Hammer, for example, if you want to watch another week of Bird or Walshy or these types of guys, then hold off on that and make a decision on them next week. Or if there's a clear cash cow or something like that, that would be a good way to play that one if you're looking at head-to-head guys, because week to week you're going to have different matchups against weaker players, better players, and you can make your decisions from there. So what a very interesting team name. We'll leave that one out. 17,956 is the overall rank. So no one's really killed it at this point of the guys in the Discord crew. Got Cleary in this team as well. So the trade outs, Brandon Smith or potentially Boyd. Potentially. Tommy Talau, Nathan Cleary, Egan Butcher. Yeah, he's a hold for this week, like you said. Trade-ins depends who I trade. Not too sure. What are your thoughts? Want Harry Grant. Okay, well, if you want Haz, how are we going to get him? Brandon Smith needs to go. How else are you going to get him? Can you get Preston in your side? No, you already have him in your side. Do you get one of the cheaper guys to be able to get up to Grant? Because your main issue right now is obviously having Tanner Boyd as your starting hooker. So how to do that? Cheese and Cleary, yes, you could do that. But then, do you have enough another player in the halves position? You have Isaiah Katoa, you have Tanner Boyd. Are you happy playing them next week? Or are you going to be having to trade next week as well? So, if you can do that, so you've got Cheese and Cleary to Grant and 563k. If you were to do that this week, and you're fine to leave Cleary out of your side, that's something that a lot of people aren't thinking about. They're either, if you're trading out Cleary, you most likely need to trade him for a DCE, a Moses, Reynolds, these types of guys who are a straight swap in that halves position, because likely you're going to be playing one of these cheap halves that aren't going to be doing too well. With Trindle being out, are you going to be happy playing Isaiah Katoa? Are you going to be happy playing Tanner Boyd over the next couple of weeks? Or are you going to need to trade? So that's a big question mark. So potentially, if you're wanting to do that 563 needs to go to a cheaper type of player, whether it be a Perrin there, whether it be a Chester, whether it be Hammer, something like that, so that you do have still a decent amount of cash in the bank and you can upgrade someone. Or if there's an injury or something like that, you can go straight to a half next week. But I do think it creates some unnecessary drama in your side trading out Cleary. Yes, I understand it is to get the great man Harry Grant, but yeah, definitely poses some issues in your side if you are to make that one, that's for sure. So that's something to think about there. Okay, we'll move to Mr. Buslane, who's one of our boys in the private group. So a big thanks to him being in here. The captaincy options, and then had a question around Shaq Mitchell and Cheekham. So Shaq there, he's obviously going to be a little bit of a cash grab over the next few weeks. There's, Tavita Totola come back, Hame Selly's back. So Shaq, is he going to get the big minutes? I think this week's going to show if he can be that 40-minute guy off the bench. They do have Hame who can do that. Tavita Totola to play big minutes. You got Burgess, Murray. There's so many different guys that can play those really big minutes. And is Shaq going to be one of those guys that gets 30 to 40 or back down to a 20? So I think he's a risk this week, but if he comes out and continues to get 40 minutes with that awesome PPM, then he will make you another 150k. So he's definitely a solid one. Cheekham as well. Jair is a week-to-week prospect, guys. So that's a big question mark for him. He's obviously going to make a fair bit of cash this week, and potentially if he plays in round 4 as well. But it is a risk and something I'm not willing to take. Last week was probably the best play with Cheekham. That's how we're going to go with it. Captaincy options. So we'll just look at Buslane's team, for example, and guys like Hopgood are going to be really solid captaincy options. He's got Damien Cook in there, so I think he's going to be great as well. Super consistent there. Guys like Carrigan, Haas, Murray, all going to be solid ones. I think Murray's obviously got the better track record. He's priced higher than those guys. He has scored better across the last few years. He had a couple of games early on the year last year with 80s, so if he was to come out and do that, that would be great. But Hopgood's obviously seems to be a clear one that a lot of people are going with. So if you want to go with the pack, Hopgood's probably going to be the most captain player this week. And if you want to go against the pack, guys like Murray, guys like Haas, guys like Tohu Harris, Damien Cook, Harry Grant, these types of guys will be secondary options. But yeah, Hopgood's probably the most popular one this week. Which one's going to be best? Is Hopgood still going to play 70 minutes? Who knows at this point? Is Murray going to play 58 minutes or is he going to play 75? All questions that we need to answer. But a lot of time when Murray played a lower game, guys, he came out the next week and had a massive minute game. So definitely something to think about there. Okay, ouch. Please help. Yeah, tough overall rank, just like myself. Possible trade thoughts. Smith and Boyd to Tohu and BMM/Akashi. Yeah, Ben Murdoch-Masila is not someone we spoke about either. I think he'll be much better for the run. He played solidly, had cramps, and no one really ran at him in the second half. So I can see him, if he gets sort of 60 plus minutes, he'll be getting around that sort of 30 plus score, which is solid, and he'll make you some cash for sure. Forwards almost set and forget, which is great. Cook, Murray, Carrigan. Hopgood will be playing 16 this week short, a centre. Wow. I can only third Burbo, last minute starter. Yeah, not unlikely. Haas will be Tamani Martin and Isaiah Katoa this week. That is also really tough. So yeah, you made those two trades. It obviously gets Tohu, and is it worth trading to up to Tohu this week and not having a 17th player? I don't think so. I'm not going to advocate it. Obviously, over the next few weeks, then you could potentially do some other things, but yeah, definitely not ideal at this point. Smith and Boyd / Chancellor Cookstart to Bird and Akashi. Yeah, who's the cashy though? Who's that going to be? Is it? No, it's not Preston for you. So there's no real clear cashy option this week. Smith / Boyd to Hammer. 17 players, centre kind of addressed. Hammer to get the bus lane HIA curse and score 3. Definitely a chance. But I think that one trade this week might be best for you, mate. Obviously that means you've only used 2 over the first 2 weeks. And you have 17 players, and Hammer should be able to play pretty well against the Knights. Last one, CNK to Kotrick, Blake, Thompson. Yeah, nothing too exciting there. So probably the Smith to Hammer saves you some cash as well, and you can upgrade next week. I think would be with the way to do it, and just deal with the junk halves as you said. do a bit of a loop with Katoa there, I think would be cool. You've got, Cleary, Nickel Cookstar. Yeah, people are actually trading Cleary. So there's a lot of people, like, obviously I just listened to the Talking League boys and most of them are binning Cleary. So I can see the merit in there for sure. Both options I think are good. So however you want to play that one. I don't think you can afford to play with 16 this early. Can Smith score 40 plus? No. Let's leave him out of your side. And then our last question, guys, as we said, the captaincy options. That's really it. So that's all we've got for today, which is great. I hope that really helped you with a lot of your questions and kind of a general idea into strategy into your teams. You need to be looking over the next few weeks as to what different players are available. Obviously, that video I did earlier in the week, the impact on the next 3 games, keeps in your mind who's got to buy in the next 3 weeks, which is going to be really important when making your trades in the current one. Hope you enjoyed that. Catch you later.